I've pressed the button.
Give me a pick. Give me your insights. I want the bets from Betting Weekly, because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. That River sponsor. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Welcome along to Betting Weekly Live. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me and Lewis Jones. As you can see, it is Monday. Always love a Monday, Lewis, because if you've had a good weekend betting, then you're sort of, full of the joys of spring. Your account's full. You might take it a bit out. Hopefully you do. And you're just thinking fresh week and all that. This is where I step it up. This is where, we get a little bit more serious. If you've had a bad weekend, wipe your mouth, you move on, you reset. It's Monday again. How was your weekend? How are you?
How was my weekend? Yeah, excellent. Actually, that theme tune actually took me back to my weekend a little bit. Close because I was in Dublin this weekend on a stag.
Really?
And yeah. So I actually had a weekend away. Had a weekend away from the responsibilities of life, which was incredibly exciting. And just closing my eyes and hearing the sort of the folkish sort of twang to that song, taking me back to a very good weekend. And we're back to reality now, though. But yeah, I'm full of creamy pints and Irish folk music in my brain over the weekend, but still managed to keep abreast of everything that was going on, and some interesting results as always, and the Liverpool story's taken a very sour turn, isn't it, in terms of their form? So that's very, very interesting. So I'm full of the joys of it. I recovered after a heavy weekend, but I'm ready to go again.
Wonderful stuff. Yeah, I love Dublin. Absolutely fantastic city. Welcome in, everybody. Who have we got in the chat here? My chat on my screen's just decided to stop working. Hopefully it'll catch up in a second so I can name check a few people. Got nothing at the minute on mine. That's probably because I'm on the tennis live rather than the football.
That might be the reason, Dan, I reckon. Yeah, I think you're right.
Which helps, doesn't it, really? I'm on the wrong one to get the chats up here. And I've got the volume turned up as well. I'm having a mare. Leslie, good day to you. Ian Messina is with us as well. William Jenny, good morning from South Florida. Yeah, spent a bit of time in Miami. Good long time ago. Sean Scott, great intro song today. Real Brennan King, morning from Toronto. Good to see Lewis back. Afternoon, guys, says Duncan Ming, says good day to everyone. Man United surprised me yesterday. Totally got that one wrong. Leslie Matt saying back to the temple. Jared saying good day for the Hammers to make some coin. Make us some coin. It'll be interesting to see what Lewis reckons of that one. We did get Nigel and Jack's thoughts on the Premier League show. Rick, morning all. Real Brennan says, falling to the Liverpool chat when I saw their odds get longer before kickoff. Shane, always tune in to hear Lewis Jones' great talks. Morning glory from rainy Dublin. Yeah, Kenny Court says it was a tough weekend. I don't know. I had a fair weekend. It wasn't so bad. Big bets over the course of the weekend on the soccer scene from our friends from Bet Rivers. $40,000 play on Tottenham to score at least one goal in the first half was a winner, -114. That cashed very early. $37,000 play on Liverpool live over 0.5 first half goals, which was a loser. 30k on Newcastle on the quarter ball handicap, -1/4 against Brighton, which was a loser.
I felt that one as well.
Yeah, should have stuck to the system. Who had more possession?
It came in again for you, did it?
You know what I mean? So he's only ever lost once in the last year and a bit. And that was when they had. And they had 49%. It was like, come on, just 1 percentage point, and the system would have been guaranteed. Now then, I hope that this bettor was listening to the show because he had two bets. Well, he might have been a different person. I don't know. It was on the Como Juventus game. First of all, it was on Como line over 1.5 goals at +195. Well, Steve put them up to win at +195. That was a winner. But also, we had both teams to score yes, which is one that James put up. That was a loser. But obviously, if you're playing +195 and whatever it was, the other one. You made your money on both your bets. So Como was a big winner for us on the show, even though there were unofficial plays. $21,000 play on Xavi Simons to score or assist in the Tottenham Villa game, which was a loser. And $15,000 play, Wilson Odobert over 0.5 shots on target, plus 148, which was a winner.
Really? They didn't have many shots, did they, Spurs? I thought they had 9 shots in the game. So to get one on target for that lucky punter, very well played.
Yeah.
Well played.
Going to talk about just on Simmons. What's your take on Simmons? I heard someone say after the game yesterday that Spurs are using him wrong already. They thought that they were buying a number 10, and was he parked on the left or the right yesterday? I can't remember. But are they using him in the right way? He only had 30 odd touches of the football or something, and for your creative number 10, your big, your main guy who's going to make things happen, he's not being used in the right way. Is he going to excel in the Premier League, or is the jury still out? What's your thoughts?
Early days. I just think he's walked into a team in very much transition in forward areas as well, and missing a couple of key players. Kulusevski's a huge miss for Tottenham, I think. Out of possession with the ball, he just knits things together, does a lot of work that no one notices, does the dirty work in attack, so to speak. Obviously, Maddison's out for the season, and Thomas Frank, I think, quite clearly has started the job focusing on making Spurs harder to beat in terms of their defensive process, which has been out of control for so many years. So I think he's actually sorted that. They've been mostly very strong defensively, got done by 2 good goals yesterday against Villa, didn't they? So
yeah,
it's just that attacking bit that he needs to work on. And I think Simmons is maybe just feeling the effects of that at the moment. I think Kudos has started quite well, hasn't he? He's their bright spot, but I wouldn't write him off just yet. I think once they get going and find a bit of cohesion, a bit of chemistry, I think he might be able to flourish. But it's not been a great start. You don't really get much time, do you, in this day and age, really, to make your name for yourself. You need to hit the ground running, because we live in a very harsh world when it comes to people analysing your performances. So he does need to pick it up a little bit. But I think that's the state of the Tottenham forward line at the moment. They definitely need to improve as a whole.
Ming said, should hot dogs be allowed at plus 190 now after the Como result? Well, Steve Wish plays by the rules. So, it wasn't 2-1, so we're not having it.
Shane's talking about 2-1 the minimum for the hot dog?
2-1 the minimum for the hot dog. Shane's talking about my green bottle collection. Yes. Byron says hit that draw as well. He talked about the Palace Bournemouth draw, Burnley money line pay for me. Leslie says West Ham Brentford put up eggs in their last matches. Both teams to score. Yes, he's suggesting. What else have we got here? Ming says a lot of these types of players in the Bundesliga have not impressed. Wirtz, yes, Šeško is another one. That is for sure. Steve said, I know I posted 10 thank you messages, but I did really well in the week. Tailing the shows. Yes, thanks, Stephen, for your support, as per usual. Chris Graham, Dan Taylor sharing his Fred Perry gear. Yeah, it seems that way today. We've not signed the deal with Fred Perry just yet. Let's just have a quick look at the latest Premier League prices, shall we? Here, we'll get Lewis's thoughts on this. Is it a done deal? Are Arsenal going to win the title here? The minus 130 to win the title for the first time since 2003, 2004. City a plus 330. Liverpool 4-1. Chelsea 20s. Any price you like. The rest. You've been championing Arsenal for the last couple of years, Lewis. Thoughts?
Oh, thanks for that. Just turn the twist the knife even further, Dan. Yeah. Excuse me. This is I mean, I've been all over Arsenal in the outright markets of every single cup competition and league competition for the past 2 years. And I told myself at the start of the season, no more losing money. I can't deal with backing a team that just probably had their day, missed their chance, and haven't got the required mentality to get over the line. Too much pressure on Arteta's shoulders this season to go get multiple trophies, maybe. And they look very secure, and everyone else is falling around them, aren't they, at the moment? And those who've kept the faith with them in the outright markets probably should be feeling quite confident. But we are, middle of October, still a long time to go. But it's this Arsenal defence, isn't it, Dan? It's just a thing of beauty. It's an absolute beast, isn't it? I mean, I don't think their ceiling is as high as maybe Liverpool, PSG, Real Madrid, all these teams in Europe. But in terms of the drop-off when they don't play well, it's not very far from their best. So they're always going to be very consistent, I think, because they're so relentlessly organised, this Arsenal team. Consider just 3 goals now, 11 games this season. I mean, they're on target here to potentially be one of the best defences we've ever seen in the Premier League. And as long as they stay clear of injuries, they probably will go very close to breaking Chelsea's record. I think it was 15, was it, goals?
15. I was talking about that earlier today. Yeah, 15. Only one defeat as well, wasn't it, that season? We were beaten by Man. Speaking to a Chelsea fan who says, yeah, we got done by a dodgy Man City penalty that season. Was it 04, 05? I think it was.
Going back a long. That shows you how well this defence is doing. It's been that long since anyone has broken this record. So yeah, if they continue on this path, they're going to be very hard to beat. But hey, football can change very quickly. We all thought Liverpool were absolute certainties about 6 weeks ago, and things have changed. But Arsenal just very calm, controlled, secure, know what they're doing. There's a lot to have on side in a title race, but it's just whether they've got that little bit extra when the pressure hits to get over the line. But they might be so far clear they won't fight. They won't feel the pressure. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Next up for Arsenal, Lewis, Palace at home at the weekend, then Burnley away, Sunderland away. There's not a lot to fear there, is the City's next three: Villa away, Bournemouth at home, Liverpool at home. Liverpool next three: Brentford away, Villa at home, City away. I mean, by the time that little sort of trio of fixtures are done and dusted, you sense that Arsenal might be, well, there should be a few more points clear. I mean, Liverpool and City got to play each other for a the
Exactly, and you got the whole Manchester City situation with the potential points deduction. I know we keep mentioning it, hanging around in the background. At some point, it's going to drop. Is it going to be soon? No one knows really. So that's also another positive for Arsenal. I think if that decision comes this season, there might be ramifications for that for Man City. So maybe everything is just aligning for it to be Arsenal's season. But as I say, we're in October, long way to go. But I mean, they're just a brilliant, ruthlessly organised team that don't give much away and don't concede many goals. If we don't concede many goals, you win a lot of football matches. So
it's going to be an interesting one. Shane, talking about Champions League, I don't think we're going to do it unless Lewis has got something off the menu for the Champions League. It wasn't on our running order, Shane, but obviously Nigel and Steve tomorrow. Will in the hot seat on Wednesday. I presume you haven't looked at. I'm throwing you a massive low curve.
No. I've had a little look at the Champions League already.
There you go.
We'll do a best bet at the end if you like.
Yeah. We'll do it right at the end if we've got time. And Shane talking about Nigel Seeley's Hearts SPL 3-1. He's purring. Is that the betting without, or has he? I presume that's betting without that Nigel's on there. I mean, Hearts top in the table, just incredible at the moment.
I think they've been talking a lot about it on the Dojo episode, haven't they?
Yeah.
Neil Channing and Nige. So yeah, that's this could be a good bet that for long term. That's a very exciting bet to be on if you want at good prices.
Massive. Alexander Bird talking about West Ham. I'm going to get to it in just a second. Adam says City feels the play at the prices. He sort of does it a little bit. I think, Adam, you're right. Couldn't trust Arsenal just yet. Are these set pieces sustainable down the stretch come March time? I mean, the flip of that is the Haaland thing. I mean, if Haaland gets injured, what does City do? I mean, I know he doesn't generally get injured, but he had a little bit of time out, I think, last season. Are they ultra reliant on him at the minute, do you think, Lewis?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they are. I think they've changed their style, haven't they, slightly this season? Well, not even slightly. I think they've made it quite obvious that that goal we scored against Brentford where they just lumped the ball to him and he just held two of them off and two very big centre-backs off and scored. You never see Man City score that sort of goal under Pep Guardiola. So they're looking for him at every point of attack, and he is absolutely feasting away. They're playing to their strengths. Their strengths are at the court in the centre of the pitch, aren't they? When Rodri's fit, when Haaland plays, the goalkeeper I think does improve them. I know he's still got questions to ask in certain games. The centre backs, Diaz and Gavardio, absolutely top class. So I think they're just concentrating more on getting results through the spine of their team, which I think is a very clever way of doing it. But you're right, if Haaland gets injured, then there is no one that can step into that void. They'll have to probably tweak the system again. So a lot does rely on Haaland. I think you're right, Dan. I think if he gets injured, then it's a big blow for them. But this is the imponderables that we can't control, can we?
It's a weird one because before he came to the club, City scored more goals in the Premier League. The last season of winning the title without him, they scored more goals without him than with him. But that first season, did his first season win the treble with him? Or was it the second season? I can't remember. But even so, they have changed their style even more now. So can they just flick it back to the other way when they played almost without a striker? I don't know. It's not that straightforward, is it? Have we got anything else to say? Have we got no, that's it for the Premier League. I just wanted another little question on Spurs for you, Lewis, here, and this sort of brings in Forest situation with Ange getting sacked at the weekend as well. Just briefly on this one, a lot has been said about, people and bettors and fans shouldn't expect Forest to change so quickly because Ange is such an outlier in his style, and therefore when you're taking over from Nuno, what do the fans and bettors expect here? It's going to be a bit chaotic. Just from a Spurs point of view, he leaves Spurs. Should we not expect the same with Spurs here? You know, the players have played under Ange for 2 years. Why do we think that they can just switch it back to being a more defensive and more considered side under Thomas Frank? You know, and Spurs are getting beat at home at the minute, you know, on a couple of occasions, and they're a bit erratic still. Is that a trend that we should be looking at rather than just focusing on Forest and what Ange does, maybe what he's left behind as well?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point because I think the general consensus is that Spurs have started quite well, really, and they're moving forward. But then when you dig a little bit deeper and scratch into the numbers, especially in attack, as I mentioned already, their chance creation from open play, especially at home, covered them a couple of times this season. I did the Bournemouth game where they were completely outgunned in every department by Bournemouth and deserved to lose. And then they played Wolves, a team who haven't won, 10, 11 Premier League games. And they weren't looking like they were going to get back in that game at 1-0 down. They were about to be beaten 1-0 at home by Wolves. And if you think that was Postecoglou in charge or someone else, as you say, with a different maybe narrative and media focus on, perhaps there would be more. But they got the equaliser, and that's digging results out of nothing has been the saving grace, I think, for Frank so far, because he did it in Bodo Glimt as well. They were quite very average in that game, 2-0 down, came back to draw 2-2. They have tended to get the fine margins in their favour in these games where they perhaps haven't played very well. That it could always change in football, can't it? It can flip the other way very quickly when you're playing fine margin, sort of marginal gains, as Thomas Frank likes to say it. But he needs to sort out the attack and create more chances and find a way to get his better players into good positions on the pitch. Otherwise, he is going to come under pressure in the next sort of maybe 6 to 8 games. The fans weren't very happy yesterday, whether that was directed at more the club than Thomas Frank. But I think they've won 3 games the last 17 at home across both seasons, which is. I mean, this is a club who are in the Champions League. They should be winning more football matches than that at home. But again, they've got enough players in there, and I think when Kulusevski comes back, hopefully not too long, might change some of that attacking problems they had. But yeah, I totally see where you're coming from, and I am more negative on Spurs than perhaps what the market suggests. But the market has taken a negative turn anyway towards Spurs. Most weeks they're bet against by the big money, by the syndicate. So maybe we have to start listening to that a bit more.
Yeah. Lee says bet against Spurs at home every game and you will make money. Kenny, we're just trying to point you into a trend, mate. That's all it is. and I think a lot of people know who I do some work for, so it's the other side of the coin for that one.
Yeah, no agendas here from Dan Roebuck.
There is no agendas for me, I can absolutely tell you. Anyway, people come on the show because they want some picks and selections and some leans on the games that are taking place today. And we've got some thoughts and some leans and some picks when it comes to all the games across the major leagues Europe tonight. We've got a match in England we're going to tackle first. We're going to talk about Alaves against Valencia and Cremonese Udinese as well. And there are plenty of games that are streamed live on BetRivers website and the BetRivers app. And I've asked Steve for a few picks in Sweden as well. So hopefully we've got you covered. Let's start with West Ham against Brentford here. The plus 155 West Ham, Brentford are plus 175. There has been money for Brentford over the course of the weekend. They were bigger when we talked about them on the Premier League show. West Ham have drifted a little bit here. This is the first game in charge at home of Nuno. It's going to be interesting to see how he sets his team up here, because this is going to set the tone, Lewis, isn't it, really? And I'm unsure about this one. I know that Jack has gone for West Ham as his hot dog -1, so he needs a 2-0 win to cash it completely. But you've taken a slightly different view. You've got a few angles in. What are your thoughts on the game, first of all?
Well, I can totally see where Jack is coming from the home win. That price is really tempting based on a lot of factors, really, in terms of just the player. I mean, if you're going to go very basic and break it down player by player, West Ham have got, we would say, the stronger team and squad. They've got the better manager, I would say. You'd rather have Nuno Espirito Santo in your corner than Keith Andrews at his stage, early stage of his career. But I've watched West Ham so many times this season, quite up close as well, done a lot of their home matches, and their defending from simple balls into their box has almost been laughable at times this season. They've been so bad. They've been okay in games, look like they're doing okay, and all of a sudden you just put them under a little bit of pressure and they absolutely fold. And unless Nuno can sort out that inability to defend properly, then I don't want to go anywhere near him at the moment. I can't trust them. I just need to see them be able to install his philosophy and methods into their process before I can start thinking about taking them at these sorts of prices. And I think my gut instinct is actually telling me West Ham are a good price here, but there's just something, I don't know whether it's my experience and the fact that I've seen enough of West Ham this season, and maybe I'm going by a little bit of recency bias here because I've watched them firsthand, and this is a different setup, different manager, but I don't really want to go near the outright market, and I'd just rather look at goals down here. I think I've got the goal. I've got the goal expectancy a little bit higher than what the market has. I think it's quite sort of pick 'em, isn't it? The over 2.5 line at the moment, and I
mean, under's his favourite on the 2.5 goal line. So what's the play? What's your thoughts on this one then? If it sounds like you might be nudging towards over.
Yeah, I definitely am. I've got it sort of around 2.8, 2.9 the goal expectancy here. So I would the numbers and everything I put into sort of the model that I use is saying back the over line here, because Brentford are actually quite a reliable team away from home when it comes to scoring. They've actually scored in their last 13 Premier League away games. Yeah. And the fact that they are so set piece focused is a massive strength here, meeting a weakness at West Ham. So I can definitely see the away side getting on the score sheet. But then you flip it, and West Ham also possess a lot of higher class players in forward areas. I know there's been a lot of love for Jared Bowen on the chat already about people getting involved in his anytime goal scorer price tonight. He's a much better player than what the level of West Ham and Brentford are currently occupying in the Premier League table. He could be playing in the Champions League, no problem. Somerville's had a very good start to the season. Paqueta's also got a very high level of ceiling in terms of his ability as well. And one of the reasons I do like goals in these type of matches in teams down at the bottom, it didn't really showcase it this weekend, and I did get burnt in the wallet a little bit. But when there's two teams who are in relegation trouble, and these two are, I think they're both shorter than 5-1 to go down at the moment.
Yeah,
I think there's a chance these games can become more open and exciting and goal heavy than the market thinks, just because both teams will be earmarking this as one they can win. It's the classic 6-point theory, isn't it? You take 3 yourself, and one of your rivals loses 3. So I did back the over 2.5 in both the Burnley Leeds matches and Sunderland versus Wolves this weekend. And they both finished 2-0, which was a little bit frustrating, especially when you look at Leeds. I think they failed to score from 19 shots, nearly 3. They got 3 expected goals, I think, nearly in that game. That game probably should have gone overs, and it was more, I'd say, exciting than many people would have thought in terms of the total XG. So I am going to play the overs here, but I'm just going to take a bit of security and take the over 2.25 Asian line here for the game to go over. So we only lose half our stake if there are just 2 goals. So I'd rather have that around sort of -148. I think the last time I looked. I mean, I wouldn't put people off having a swing at the bigger over, just going full stakes on the over 2.5. But this just early into the new manager situation here with Nuno, I am just being a little bit more careful than perhaps I could, because he could just set his team up just to keep a clean sheet. And that's the worry that I have, that he might just think a 0-0, a 1-0, a low scoring home win just to get them up and running is what they need. And he is a very good manager at doing that to a team when he needs to. So going to play a little bit cautiously. But I think if both teams go at it in the way that they're treating it as a game that they can win, I do think the overs are live. So yeah, I'm just going to keep it relatively safe and just play the over 2.25 line on the Asian line around sort of -148.
Yeah, I mean, if you've backed, I mean, Brentford for overs are a bit of a standing dish. They are the most profitable over 3.5 side in the league at the minute. I don't think it's going to go over 3.5, by the way. A lot of people suggesting 2-1 and 3-1 is away. And yeah, and Adam's put up some nice stats about Bowen as well. Look, I couldn't put anyone off if you like to play sort of anytime goal scorer and shots on target and that sort of thing. I mean, plus 160, I think he's fair. And if you think there's going to be goals, play anytime rather than first. I mean, even, if you're looking at bet builders, or same game parlays as they're called, both teams to score. Yes, I'd sort of suggest start with that maybe. I think it's a tricky one to call for sure on the money line. Anything else in the prop market for us here, Lewis, before we move on?
Yeah, I'm going to put up the 2 Brentford centre-backs to score, actually. I think they're runners this evening at sort of big prices. Came agonisingly close. Last time in the international break, I was on with Steve and I tipped up Dan Ballard to score for Northern Ireland, and he had a goal disallowed, I think, in the first 10 minutes. He was on plus 600 for a shot on target. I think he was plus 2,000 anytime goal scorer. So probably due a little bit of lady luck on the centre backs here. And I do think this is a good spot to back both Nathan Collins at plus 1,600 and Sepp van der Berg at plus 1,200. I think if you just split your stakes down the middle and back both, I think you're going to get a good run for your money here, because West Ham's defending this season from set pieces. I mean, it's been well publicised. I think even Jack Wright has been banging that drum on the Premier League show. I mean, they've conceded 8 goals from corners already. That's the most a team has ever conceded in the first 7 games of a Premier League season. So that means that nearly 1 in 4 of all corner goals scored this season have been scored against West Ham, which is about 25% of all the goals scored from corners in the Premier League have come against West Ham, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm sure Nuno will have been working on making them hard to beat from these set piece situations, but sometimes it can be a bit of a mental fragility rather than anything, in terms of the way the crowd get a little bit nervous when a set piece is won, and the players can sort of feel it. And I don't think the goalkeeper, whether it's Areola or Hermansen tonight, really installs much confidence into that back line. And you know, Brentford, every opportunity they get, they're just going to be lumping that ball into the 6-yard box and really asking every question from every angle. So dangerous from corners, free kicks, and throw-ins too, Dan. This is where you get the extra angle with Brentford when you're back in the centre-backs in any sort of props market, is the fact Michael Coyote, his long throw has got to be one of the biggest in Europe. I think they managed to create 8 shots this season from his 30 long throws, which is a ridiculous strike rate, really. And if you run the data back longer term, Brentford have scored most goals from any team from long throws in the Premier League since the start of last season. That's 7. So they can absolutely hit you from any angles, Brentford. And this is why I like backing the centre-backs, because you do get a good run for your money. If even 40 yards out from goal down, you get a throw in, you know it's going in the box. You know your 2 men, the centre-backs, are going up to attack the ball. And I just think you get a really good run for your money. These two haven't scored between them yet this season, Collins and van der Berg. They've had 9 shots, though, between them. Expected goals figure is at 1.4, so it does suggest they should have got off the mark already. I think one is due, and just against this West Ham defence, I think it might be time to jump on to Collins and van der Berg, split your stakes, and hopefully they get their first of the season tonight.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic analysis. Love that. Look at the centre halves for Brentford tonight. A lot of comments in the chat, a lot of picks as well. If you want to follow any of the boys, any of our subscribers, any of our viewers, do so. Georgie Belco's put up due for anytime assist at plus 500. I won't be going through all the comments, but keep them coming in. Thiago to score for Brentford is A's particular selection. What else have we got here? Francisco Martin says over 27.5 shots in the match at 1.86. Maybe my bet tonight, expecting an open game. Well, we like goals, so there's got to be shots, Francisco. Like that one. Just a reminder of the newsletter. If you're new to us, if you just dropped on us today for the first time, we've got a newsletter for you. All the boys tipping this, bettingweeklystudios.com. It is free every single week. You get 2, in fact, one on Monday, one on a Friday, looking ahead to all of the action of the weekend and midweek. Lots of sports covered as well. bettingweeklystudios.com. It is free. The D guy says, Lewis, what do you think about the Paqueta shot on target? Quickly, well, we sort of mentioned Paqueta, haven't we?
Yeah, he's a brilliant player. Always live in the shot on target.
He's on Penos as well, isn't he? He's on Penos.
He will be, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So if West Ham are going to take it to them tonight, then he'll be to the fore as always. Brilliant player to watch. That
is West Ham done and dusted. Just a reminder that we have got an awful lot of games that are streamed on the site. If you've got a BetRivers account, or you can watch via the BetRivers app, we have got Alaves Valencia. We're going to get to that very soon. Stream live. Cadiz Burgos as well in Segunda. Nancy against Amiens in Ligue 2. There's also Danish, Swedish games that are streamed live as well. I'm going to give you Steve's leans on those in just a second. Irish football, 3 Brazilian games as well. I'll run through the prices for that. There's tennis as well. And we've got Mitch and Tim on the tennis show a little bit later. So a lot of streaming action if you've got a BetRivers account, and you can watch via the app if you're in a territory, if you're in the States where you can get an account. Make sure you do so, and make sure you watch all of the streaming action. Speaking of those games that are streamed, interesting money for a couple of Brazilian sides. We've seen cash for Fluminense over the course of the day. They're plus 170. It's pushed Vasco out here. You just tend to think that maybe Vasco might be about. I put them up at Tino Bet minus 115. They're both massively outperforming their expected goals by 9.8 and 6.2 respectively. That's one of the reasons why the underline is quite short. Juventude against Bragantino, I've gone for both teams to score yes in this one. I did give Nathan a call, but he's moving house at the minute. He says he's not really had a significant and serious look, so he couldn't pass anything on to me, or he just didn't want to. Probably the latter, but there you go. And Santos,
I've heard this story twice now about Nathan ignoring your calls. Dan, I think he's trying to tell you something, mate.
I know, he's got no interest. He probably thinks he's that. Santos -1 on the Asian line. I like. They have found a little bit of form. They're unbeaten in 4 on their own patch, and they beat Corinthians last time out. And Vitoria have lost their last 5 away and are winless away this season in Serie A in Brazil. So my 3 tentative leans for you. Both teams to score yes. Juventude against Bragantino. Vasco against Fluminense. I've gone for Vasco. Tino Bet minus 115. But I've got to tell you, there's money for Fluminense today. And Santos -1 on the Asian line. So a 1-0 win. It's a push. Anything bigger. And you cop at minus 105 Vitoria in pretty shocking form at the moment. Santos, of course, were second-tier title winners last season. And from Mr. Wiss, open your ears now, because I know that Steve's selections always hold a lot more weight than mine. And he has suggested to me that of the Swedish games that you can watch live on the site, we've got Mjallby away at Goteborg, and Mjallby are going for the title. If they win tonight, they will win the top flight title in Sweden. They are plus 140 to do so. They're in great form away from home as well. They've won their last 7 in all competitions. A win secures them the title. Steve reckons they could well get the job done tonight. And Degerfors has found a little bit of form. They're unbeaten in 3. They're struggling at the moment, as are Halmstad. But he reckons that Degerfors at minus 110 might just be the way to go in that one. So play the home side, Degerfors and Mjallby, in the game that could see them win the title. And Cadiz against Burgos. The odd thing about this one is that Cadiz are 3rd in the Segunda table, but if you put the expected points table on, they are 20th. I'm going to lay Cadiz. I'm going to back Burgos. I'm going to go draw double chance. I don't know what the price is because I only looked at it before we came on air very quickly, but it just caught my eye that Cadiz are overperforming by 8 points in the second tier in Spain, more than any other side by an absolute country mile. So that's the streaming that we've got for you, or just some of the streaming games that we have today. Next up, we can get some thoughts on Cremonese, Udinese with myself and Lewis. Cremonese are plus 225 here. Udinese have been bet over the course of the weekend. They're plus 128. We had a quick look at this one on the European show last week, and Udinese were bigger. They've been bet. Cremonese are pretty wretched in terms of their expected goals. Expected goals against of 10.3 is the second highest, and they're bottom in terms of expected goals difference at minus 0.99. But Cremonese somehow have looked out and they're mid-table at the moment. Udinese have never really been one to trust. If I was forced to, I'd back Udinese on the money line at plus 128 here. They have been 2-1 or shorter, plus 200 or shorter, 6 times since the start of last season away from home. They've won 3 of 6. She's turning a profit, including beating Pisa earlier this season. If I had to, I'd play Udinese on the money line. But we both spotted a player that we like for a shot on target, Lewis. You can give us the angle in and the player that we both like here for this game that kicks off 2:45 Eastern. Yeah,
absolutely. I think you're right on the right lines here about the Cremonese angle, but then define the data this season has been quite remarkable, really, that they look like a relegation threatened team to me based on the data, but they somehow, I think, they're unbeaten until they lost to Inter Milan last week. Is it 4-1? I think they got beat. But yeah, so I think we have to find angles to get Udinese on side, and one just jumps off the page here. The centre forward, Nicolo Zaniolo, a player that obviously was on Premier League shores, was it last season, maybe the season before, for Aston Villa. He's had he had broke through. There's a real sort of prodigy.
I thought he was a decent player, you know. I thought when I saw him at Villa, I thought he was a really good player. He went to play in Turkey for a while, but I quite liked him. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he broke through it right. I think he won Serie A Young Player of the Season when he first came through when he was 18. But I think he's had bad injuries, knee injuries, especially. He had both 2 severe knee injuries that really restricted him. And as you say, he's been to Turkey, been to Villa, Fiorentina, never really settled, but he signed on loan for Udinese now. He started the last 3 games as their centre forward and looks to be just finding his feet now, I think. And he's a very talented player, as you say, when he's on song. He's got a lot of class about him, holds the ball up, gets players into play, and has got a very, very big eye for a goal. So considering we can get here, odds against plus 105 for over 0.5 shots on target. I think it's a really nice price for anyone to get one of those odds with Bet Rivers. I think it's a brilliant angle to exploit against a team like Cremonese, who do offer up a lot of chances. And just the basic data from these 3 games that he's played, 12 shots in those starts, 4 of them on target. So I think we've got a player here the market is massively sleeping on, Dan. And it's just sometimes they jump off the page to you, and the most talented player, the centre forward, to have a shot on target against a team that have been well backed to win. Just makes sense, doesn't it? And he's a good player, and I think you're on the same lines.
100%. And just to embellish those stats a little bit more, it's when he started as well. He's got the shots. I think he's got shot on target ×2 in 2 of his 3 games when he started. I mean, we're looking at data for all the games, and he came on as a sub in a few of those. And the last game, I think I've got down here 5 shots but none on target. Well, you shoot to find the target. That's just an anomaly, isn't it? Really,
that is an anomaly. 0 from 5 is very rare.
I just think. I mean, I'm just making sure that it's still available, because I know that sometimes we get a little bit of grief about putting up, especially shots on target, and the lines can move. We know that. And I'm just having a quick look now to see if I can find him. He's still plus 105. Yep. I mean, I can't imagine that is going to stay there come kickoff. So if you're a shots on target player, all the numbers, all the stats, and it looks like he's playing up front. Looked at some of the sort of Opta formations, and I remember when he was at Villa a bit, you see him on the left-hand side. He's a versatile, just a good, strong footballer. Obviously likes a shot. Scored against Palermo in the Coppa Italia as well. If you want to go a little bit bigger, over 1.5 shots on target at the minute is +4. Well, it's +450 now. It was a little bit bigger.
It's the classic ladder. There's a classic ladder in theory.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, there's value, and value at that line, value at the big one.
This is it. Look, and also we're talking about a side that's been bet here, so that it's a side that potentially is going to win the game. It's a side that potentially will have more of the ball. If you look at average percentage, doesn't possession percentage for Udinese, it doesn't tell the whole story, because they play some tough teams away from home, but I think they will dominate the ball. They'll have more of it. And, ergo stands to reason that there should be a few more shots. I'm almost certain he's going to start. I know that Ika Bravo has been away on international duty with Spain's under-20s, but he should start, probably alongside Keenan Davis. That was one of those ones you look at, you think, crikey, is he there?
I didn't realise that until today.
Yeah. He scored a couple of goals, ex-Villa, of course, Davis. In terms of where the money's been going here, 90% of the money, 85% of the tickets has come on Udinese, 81% of the money on unders, 62% of the tickets on over. So the smart money on under, the wreck on over. Both teams' scorers failed to hit in 4 of Udinese's last 5 Serie A matches as an away favourite. Both teams' score has been a little bit of a trend in Italy as well. And the unders line has hit in each of Udinese's last 13 Serie A night matches as a favourite as well. 1 or 2 stats there for you for that Cremonese game. Can't see Cremonese winning. Tribe of Gad says unders are the order of the day for this one. Lee says Udinese draw no bet. I can see that. I'd rather play. I just think they're probably a bit too short for that. I'd just rather play them on the money line. But I think Zaniolo is the standout bet by an absolute stretch for this one. Alaves against Valencia next for us. This is a game in La Liga, of course, 3 p.m. Eastern. Alaves are +123. Valencia +250. Draw +215. Alaves beat Elche last time out 3-1. They were 1 up courtesy of a penalty. Then Elche went down to 10 men very soon after. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that game, because their expected goals figure was a lot bigger than they'd achieved in any other game so far this season. 1.2 was their biggest prior to that. It was over 2, and obviously the penalty helps and the red card as well. Their expected goals against figure 6.7. They've played a game fewer, obviously, than the rest of the La Liga clubs, aside from Valencia, because this is the last game on. Just think they look like they're hard to beat. But I always think, having sort of looked at Valencia last season when Corberan came in, Lewis, and they had a massive upward curve. I can't remember the stat, but I'm pretty sure from the 1st of January onwards, 1st of January to the end of the season, I think Valencia were either the 4th or the 5th best team in Spain in terms of points accrued. And he really turned them around because they were flirting with relegation. They've lost Mamardashvili, obviously, to Liverpool. They lost Mosquera to Arsenal. That's a bit of a blow. But I think it's up front where they're struggling a little bit. Danjuma's come in. He was on loan at Girona last season, came in from Villarreal. Good player, was at Bournemouth for a while. Also picked up a player from Leganes, Dandy Rabat, and Lucas Beltran from Fiorentina. And I don't think he can work out what his best strike force is, because Hugo Doro and Diego Lopez scored a lot of goals, a lot of assists last season. But if you look at the way that they've set up this season, he's changed an awful lot. And I think he's in a bit of a muddle here. I looked at this. I really wanted to go unders, but unders is really short. For this one, what are we looking at here? I mean, I'm not going to start putting up -$2 favourites for a play on the show. I mean, what have you got? Have you got anything Alaves Valencia for us?
Well, yeah, it was the case of I did go down the same Roebuck rabbit hole really with the main markets here with the unders player. I mean, I did like unders, but again, too short to get involved.
Yeah.
I was delighted to note here that Bet Rivers are offering the foul committed markets on this game. So went through my sort of usual processes at looking at matchup and just running some of the numbers. And Alaves, my word, are they a dirty team, Dan? I mean, they're averaging 16.7 fouls committed per game in La Liga this season, which is an absolutely huge figure. And I think it is down to the manager, but I don't know a lot about, Eduardo Coudet.
Yeah, Argentine.
Obviously. And I don't know a lot in terms of his style, but he must get his teams fired up because, I mean, then I thought, well, I'll have a look at his their foul numbers under this manager. So he's been there for 32 games. And the actual average goes up from 16.7 this season to 16.88 per game. So this is they're making nearly 17 fouls a game across the last 32 matches, which is just ridiculous levels of like dirtiness. So had to have a look at the foul committed markets on the players here and just look at the matchups. The player that stood out clearly at the prices for Alaves here was their left winger, Abdi Rebac. He's only started the last 3 games for them, but looked to have nailed his place down on the left since moving from Granada. But he's made 13 fouls in his last 3 games. So obviously keen to make his mark. And if you scrape back his data longer term, he's averaging over 2 fouls committed per game based on his appearances for Granada as well. And then when you throw in the matchup, he's up against a player here down that side called Luis Rioja, who's got a history of drawing a lot of fouls, 1.3 fouls per 90 across his last 50 games. So it looks like Rebic could be in for some action again tonight in terms of fouls committed, and he's -130 to clear the over 1 point fouls line. And Dan, I just think it wins because you run the numbers, they're going to be aggressive, they're going to get in the face, and there's going to be a lot of action down that flank. And I think Rebic is going to full foul the referee like he usually does. I think he made 7 fouls in one of his recent starts, so he's surely going to note the referee. Over 1.5 fouls committed looks a great price to me.
Love it. William Jenner's taking me to task. He's saying that Danjuma is not a good player. I'm sorry. He misses more big chances than anybody. It's one of those things, isn't it? Do you remember the Villarreal Champions League game against Liverpool a few years ago? And I just thought he was good at that. It sticks in your brain. It's like one of those things that you get things with players and you don't watch them regularly, so you tend not to change your opinion. Maybe
that's how our brains are worked. Yeah, exactly. But who am I on side of here? I think I'm on William Jenner's side. I would agree. I think he's pretty average as well, William. So we're on the same.
I don't know. I looked at all the last formations for Valencia. It just seems like Corberan can't work out what his best forward line is. You know, I don't think the defense is too bad. And I know they lost Mamardashvili, but they've got a keeper from Athletic Club on loan. And he played about 14, 15 games last season when Unai Simon was out injured. Unai Simon missed the start last season for Athletic Club, came in as the season went on. Athletic Club had a good start. You know, they were all right. He was a good deputy. And I think Diakaba used to play for Lyon. He's playing centre half now, and he's a regular previously. I don't think defensively they've gotten that much worse. I really wanted to put Valencia up at +245 because I really liked them last season. They made us some money on the European show. We followed them. We got on that sort of Corberan line, and he likes to play attacking. He's a bit of a 4-4-2 merchant, which is a bit of an oddity for a Spanish coach, but you know it is. What it is. Byron says, I was talking about Brentford there in the corners. What else we got here? Ian Messina says, for a free $50 bet, what can I pick today? Well, we'll get Lewis's best bet in just a second. But before we do that, I mean, for what it's worth, I'm actually going to play, and this is this isn't a great bet, and I wouldn't really sort of advise it. But because I've looked and looked and looked, and I can't get with goals, but I just think it'll be low scoring, and it might just be a draw. So I'm going to play Valencia plus a quarter at minus 103 is going to be my bet for this one. It could easily be 0-0, 1-1, that sort of stuff. We're going to get Lewis's best bet in a sec. On the money line, 89%, 83% of the money on tickets on Alaves, 72% of the money's on unders, 55% of the tickets on overs. So a bit of an interesting split there. Both teams to score is hitting Alaves' last 5 La Liga home matches. That is an interesting stat, considering that the goals line is so tight. I mean, if that happens again, there's not a lot of wriggle room there. Unders is hit in each of Alaves' last 4 La Liga week 9 week 9 night matches. How many filters do you have to put on for that?
That's very rogue.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it? But that is the stat. We'll get Lewis's best bet in just a second because we've kept Lewis a little bit long. I just want to talk about the NFL for you because the boys are going to be back a little bit later on today, 5 p.m. Eastern. We've got Mike and Doug in the chair. They are going to be talking NFL, some key games tonight. Monday Night Football, Buccaneers at the Lions. Buccaneers are plus 220 on the money line. Lions are minus 286, giving away 6.5 point start on the spread with the over and underline 53 points. Most of the money has come for the Lions. Most of the tickets on the spread has come for the Lions as well. And on overs, 81% of the money, 84% of the tickets on the overs. And just to back that up, each of the Buccaneers' last 4 games have gone over the total points line. And the Buccaneers have won each of their last 3 games as road underdogs as well. Just 1 or 2 player trends for you for that one as well. Jamie Gibbs has scored the first touchdown in each of the Lions' last 3 home games against NFC opponents. And the other game tonight, which is Texans at the Seahawks. Texans plus 150 on the money line. On the spread here, it's minus 3, the Seahawks. Over and underline is 41. Most of the money on the Seahawks, and indeed most of the money is on the overs as well. 7 of the Seahawks' last 8 games as home favourites have gone over the total points line. So maybe over 41 is the one to play. And Cooper Kupp has scored a touchdown in 4 of his last 6 home appearances against AFC opponents. 1 or 2 stats for you. Mike and Doug will be along with you from 5 p.m. Eastern to talk about that game, those 2 games and more. We've got Mitch and Dustin when it comes to the tennis very shortly at 1 p.m. Eastern. Last word from Lewis here. Last 2 words from Lewis here. First of all, best bet of the night.
Let's go. Let's split stakes. Anytime goal scorer, Collins and Van der Berg. So Collins is the bigger price, plus 1,600. Van der Berg, plus 1,200. Let's split half a unit on each. Let's go for it.
And brilliant. Love that. And Shane asked about Champions League. Do you want to mention the Champions League? Any quick leads?
Monaco versus Tottenham was where I was going. Just going to get the price quickly. Under 3 Asian goals. Around, where are we going? Minus 130. Spurs versus Monaco. Want to back the unders there. I know the Champions League games can get a little bit chaotic and goal heavy, but I think the market, we've got a team here at Tottenham, they don't concede goals, they don't score goals. I think the market's a little bit sleeping on that at the moment. So I can see Spurs going there and putting on a similar performance that they did against Villarreal at home when they won 1-0. I think that would be just fine for them. So, under 3 Asian goals in Monaco versus Spurs.
Brilliant stuff. Champions League featured, of course, tomorrow and Wednesday. With Steve and Nigel, and then Steve and Will and James will be on duty for the Europa League and Conference League on
absolute must watch. Those shows are absolutely must watch in midweek as well. They're so good. So if anyone who's tuned in tonight, tune into those as well because you'll get such good angles from those guys. Couldn't recommend it more.
Brilliant stuff. Lewis, thanks for your company today. Have a good night tonight at the London Stadium. Wish you well. Hopefully you get a good game. Hopefully we'll be reporting on lots of goals.
Just lots of goals for Collins and Van der Berg. That's all I want.
Yeah, Collins and Van der Berg. That'll do for us. Many thanks to everyone who's commented over the course of the last 45 minutes or so. Good luck with your bets tonight. We will be with you tomorrow for Champions League fun. We'll see you then.